Recently, I have started to be beginning watching AEW a bit more. Yeah, I'm starting to become all elite a little bit. So, over the past several months or so, since I've kind of been, maybe at least a few weeks, maybe a month or so, I can't really tell you when I really started watching, but I have been slowly been watching it a bit more. Not live, obviously, just, whenever, whatever I can find available. I mainly tune in for the women's division, just to see what the women do there. But over the course few of the times, I have looked up their roster and I've realized, man, they've got a giant roster. So, using my WWE knowledge that I have used for over the course of the years, I have created my very own mock draft for the All Elite Wrestling. I thought to myself, what if Tony Khan decided to divide his rosters? Now, I haven't included everybody on this draft list because A, it's a real massive draft, but I've also had to look up each championship so that way I can decide, okay, which title goes where, and maybe determining where the titles go could really set up the divisions. So if you guys so for those who watch it on a weekly basis, will be able to really understand a lot easier. So I've decided when it comes to what I've decided, we've got the champions. I did the champions first, and then I did like this massive list going downwards. So we've got AEW's only got one world champion, which that is MJF. When it comes to him, I've decided that he can be on both shows, considering he's the world champion. The only logical way that he could remain on Dynamite is if Tony Khan decided to create another world title, which I don't think he's going to. So, I feel for the rule for the AEW World Championship, the rule I've created is that if you are the world champion, you can appear on both shows. But when you lose the title, you remain on the brand you're on. So like for MJF, for example, he's on Dynamite. So if he ever drops the title, he will remain on Dynamite. So I feel the world champion should be allowed to be on both shows. This was a tactic WWE did back in the original draft in 2002, when they only had one world title, which was the Undisputed Championship at the time. That was the tactic WWE used back then. When they only had one world title, they had the world champion appear on both shows. So as for the mid-card titles, I looked it up. Powerhouse Hobbs has the TNT title. I decided to put him on Dynamite, and Orange Cassidy had the international title. I moved him over to Rampage. FTR are the current, or now brand new, AEW World Tag Team Champions. So I decided that, well, AEW Dynamite can have themselves the tag team division, and Rampage can have the trios. So all the factions, for those who know all the factions in AEW, Rampage will have all the factions on Rampage. So House of Black and Chris Jericho Appreciation Society and all those other factions that you guys are aware of, Dark Order and Death Triangle, they will all be a part of Rampage. So I thought that was easy. Also, Hook, he has a title I've never heard of. I've never heard of. When I was looking through the champions list, I saw that he has a title. To be honest, I've never heard of it, but I put him on Rampage because, he has a mid-card title. So I was like, well, he's got a mid-card title, so I guess I may as well just, put him there. Hook, if I can remember right, Hook currently holds the FTW Championship. I don't remember when they ever created that, but it's when I was on the champions list, I saw that there, so I was like, well, it's a title, I'm just going to put it on Rampage. That can be the mid-card title. But I guess Orange Cassidy's title can technically be the world title of Rampage. I guess if we really want to go down that path. That can really be easy. That could really be difficult to decide if you really want to. Maybe Orange Cassidy's title can be considered the world title of Rampage. It really depends on how you would really feel. They've created like about 3 mid-card titles, so it's like, well, if you're going to do a draft, you got to kind of decide on what you want to do there. So if you want to consider Orange Cassidy's title a world title, then maybe Cassidy's title can be the compromise for the second world title, and that way MJF can remain on Dynamite with the main world title, which is the AEW World Championship. And then we've got the women's division. Now, this one was pretty easy. This one was a no-brainer. Jamie Hayter on Dynamite, and then you put Jade Cargill on Rampage. Because I feel Jade Cargill could easily be the top star of Rampage, because she's got the TBS Championship. That's kind of like the main problem with Jade Cargill. You got 2 women's titles, but Jamie Hayter gets more of the attention, while Jade kind of gets only a couple of segments here and there, or maybe a rare match every now and then, but every time she wrestles, it's always like a squash match. So I say if you divide your divisions and move Jade Cargill onto Rampage, I feel she could be a much more dominant threat without being held down by Britt Baker and the Outcasts and, the main storyline. So you can put the main storyline on Dynamite, and you can have all the other girls who don't get a lot of screen time, you can put all of them on Rampage. So that was kind of an easy no-brainer for me when it came to deciding the women's championships. So as for the divisions themselves, this is in no particular order. I decided to have Adam Cole and Britt Baker all on Dynamite, the entire Outcasts, Saraya, Toni Storm, Ruby Soho, that's kind of a no-brainer. Bryan Danielson, Adam Page, Hangman, Adam Page, Jay White, Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley, The Bucks, Christian, Juice Robinson, and we've got a tag team, Team Flight, Mark Briscoe, Shida, Thunder Rosa, Madison Rae, Nyla Rose, Sky Blue, Willow, Paige Van Zant, never heard of her. I just saw her listed there. I was like, okay, put her there. And then basically a bunch of tag teams. 2.0, 2.0, 2.0, Aussie Open, Best Friends, Lucha Bros, Private Party, Acclaimed, The Guns, The Kingdom, and the Versatile Athletes. I'm sorry if I butchered that. So that was Dynamite. That's who I put all on Dynamite. And as for Rampage, I went with... Again, you guys can easily tell me what have I done wrong, and you can easily fix it with the things you've told, that your knowledge of AEW. I'm slowly starting to watch it, but I don't have all the full knowledge. So we've also got... So over on Rampage with the champions, we've got Darby Allin and Sting, Layla Gray, the Chris Jericho Appreciation Society. I was going to put all the members next to the Chris Jericho Appreciation Society until I realized how many goddamn members they had. I had to find, like, a document where I could find, like, all the tag teams and bloody factions. And when I found out bloody Chris Jericho's group, I was like, bloody hell, that's a lot of people. They've got Jack Hager, Matt Mena, never heard of that bloke, Angelo Parker, Sammy Guevara, Ty Mello, Anna Jay, and Daniel Garcia. Like, when I saw all those people, I was like, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of people Chris Jericho has. I didn't even realize Ty Mello and Anna Jay were in the same faction. I didn't even know they were. I thought they were still a tag team. Oh, I guess they weren't, and then they became a tag team again, but Jesus Christ, that's a lot of freaking people Jericho has. I've also included Eddie Kingston, Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and the rest of his faction, the Jay Lethal's faction. That's what the document had it listed under. Keith Lee, Jungle Boy. I'd put Jungle Boy there because Anna Jay's on Rampage because, they're lovey-dovey. You can't separate, your loved ones. You can't separate them up. Sean Spears, Miro, if he ever comes back. Andrade, if he ever comes back. Dustin Rhodes, The Bunny. I don't know why I like saying it like that. I don't know why. Whatever. Penelope Ford, I think I might have said her name correctly. Julia Hart, because she's feuding with Anna Jay. Emi Sakura, I think I said her name correctly. And the former members of the Baddies, Kira Hogan and Red Velvet, because we gotta get that Baddies Fatal 4-Way. I would love that Baddies Fatal 4-Way. Jade Cargill, Layla Gray, Kira Hogan, and Red Velvet. I think that would be a cool match to eventually go down the road of. And Taya Valkyrie and Ryu, and basically the rest of the factions like Dark Order, Death Triangle, and other factions you guys may know of. So yeah, that is basically my entire draft. You know, what I could think of. Like, obviously, it's not the best, it's not fully completed, because I know I probably missed a whole bunch of other wrestlers, but I just had to come up with the best I could come up with. And you guys let me know. You guys let me know. What do you guys think of an idea for a draft for AEW? I personally think they should definitely try something like this. I think a draft could really help people. I think it could really help their rosters. It could really help, you know, get everybody on. It could at least help get a lot of people on instead of, you know, sitting a lot of them on Dark and Invalidation or whatever the other show's called every week. You know, it gives other people something to do. I think they should definitely try a draft if they want to. They could at least experiment with it. They don't have to full on do it. They can just experiment with it and say, hey, you know, we'll put a bunch of people on one show and a bunch of people on the other show. So, and then we can determine, and then the champions will divide the champions. So you guys let me know. And yes, before I know, a lot of you are probably mentioning, well, where the hell were the Ring of Honor people? Where the hell were the Ring of Honor people? Because I know a lot of you are probably wondering, where the hell were all the Ring of Honor people? Ring of Honor is its own show. I know it's merged with AEW, but I didn't want to include them. I just didn't want to include them. I was like, Ring of Honor can be its own show. Ring of Honor can be its own show. It can be like a third brand. Ring of Honor can be like a third brand. If there's any missing superstars or free agents, you can probably put the rest of them on Ring of Honor. So maybe they can sign some free agents, like Trinity Star, formerly known as Naomi. Anyway, that is my little mock draft, my idea of a draft. You guys let me know your thoughts on it, and if you guys would like to see a draft for AEW. Anyway, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see you all on the other side.